Not even Disney could produce a more compelling story than the '86 championship series between the Angels and Red Sox. A series that began as a horror show for Boston. Prospects for a turnaround looked bleak at best.
Ripped into left field down the line for a base hit. Narron around third, coming in, and the Angels go up 3 games to 1.
One victory away from a World Series. One loss from elimination. California met Game 5 with great anticipation, and veteran manager Gene Mogg sensed his 25-year World Series wait was near an end.
Center field and deep and carrying and gone just off his glove for a home run. Henderson nearly made a spectacular catch as it deflects off his glove and the Angels lead.
Boston trailed by 3, and it seemed fate was with the Angels. But the fickle finger of fate turned in the 9th.
To left field, left center, and deep. Pettis goes back, leaps, and he's gone. And it's 5-4. What a great series. Woo.
After a hit batsman, Donnie Moore was called on to stop the rally. Needing only one more out, Moore faced reserve outfielder Dave Henderson with a tying run on.
A game I probably shouldn't have been in. Tony Armas got hurt, and I came in about the 7th inning. And I was a backup player and only had like one at-bat the whole series. Donnie Moore had a distinct advantage over me, and I was just up there trying to survive. A guy trying to make contact.
In there, there's 2 strikes away.
You know, you look around, there's 64,000 people yelling and screaming, and people are getting ready to run down on the field. I wasn't as calm as I looked.
1-2.
This guy throws me a few pitches, and I work it to 2-2 and see 5 or 6 pitches. You do have a chance when you're a major leaguer. And when you're 6'2", 220 pounds, you put the ball in play, sometimes it goes out of the ballpark.
To left field and deep and down he goes back, and it's gone! Unbelievable! You're looking at one for the ages here.
It was pretty intense. Watching that ball go over, it's like we brought back a moment. We took something from out of the past. Those are the things you dream of when you're little kids. You don't expect them to really come true that often, but in that case it was.
I had no idea it was going to go out of the ballpark, or I would have showboated a little bit at the plate. So I got halfway down the first base and the ball went out of the ballpark, and that's when you know, I lifted in the air and did the Joe Carter 360, and you know, you have a blast. And we just kind of go back to feeling like a kid when that thing happens. You know, you talk about home run in the 9th inning. We've all done it as kids, and I actually got to do it in the game.
The Red Sox took a 6-5 lead. But the sense in the bottom of the 9th was that this one was far from over.
Hit sharply by Barrett for a base hit. Evans can throw. Jones is coming home. The throw home is there. No, he's safe.
The score was 6-6 until the 11th.
I come up again in a tougher situation with, you know, bases drunk and 1 out, and he's trying to get me to, you know, get that double play ball, and I hit a sacrifice fly, and that was a big AB too.
Deep enough to score a run. Pettis makes the catch. Baylor tags. Red Sox lead 7-6.
Then Calvin Schiraldi felt the pressure, as did his wife, in the bottom of the 11th.
Popped up. Here comes Stapleton. Next plane to Boston.
After we won that game, we knew we were going to win the thing. When California had to go back to Boston, there was no way we weren't going to win that series. And, you know, we blew them out both games.
The Red Sox are trying to go from last rights to the World Series. And they do.
The first celebration that I ever had, really, guys hugging each other and guys crying, and, you know, Boston fans that have waited so long to get to the series, you know, the champagne, and we're finally going, and I'm part of it.
Now the hitter is is Will Clark. He's 0 for 3. Swing and a bouncer. This could be it. Davis runs to the bag. Game is over. No hitter. Astros win the championship. Mike Scott has just thrown his first career no-hitter, and the Astros are the National League's champions of the West. What a way to win it. Holy Toledo!
Perhaps the most dramatic clincher ever, as Mike Scott and the Astros seemed to top the world. A foreshadow of the excitement that would follow in the championship series, as Scott was again the focal point in Game 1.
Everybody up. It's 2-2 with 2 out, the tying run at third base in the top of the 9th inning for the Mets. Mike Scott trying to win it right here. Struck him out. That's strikeout 14. It ties the National League Championship Series record. The Houston Astros have defeated the New York Mets by a score of 1-0 on a 5-hitter by Mike Scott.
The next day, Bob Ojeda countered with a masterful performance for the Mets, holding the Astros to 1 run, a complete game victory that tied the series at 1 game apiece. In New York for Game 3, the Astros forged ahead with a 4-0 lead. But the straw that stirred the Mets took matters in hand, giving the Astros quite a shakeup in the 6th.
Strawberry is up facing Nepper. It is now a 4-1 ball game. Strawberry hits it high in the air to right. Fast to the wall. It's gone. The score is tied.
But New York's celebration seemed short-lived when the very next inning the Astros regained the lead. Wally Backman led off the 9th, hustling out a bunt, and the Mets had the tying run on base. The raucous crowd anticipated a rally, and then with 1 on and 1 out, reliever Dave Smith prepared to face a young Lenny Dykstra.
You never want Lenny Dykstra to come up to the plate with the game on the line, because he's going to do something positive for his team. He's probably one of the best clutch hitters in baseball when it's a big series like that. I mean, this guy thrives off of pressure, and every time we were playing him in the series, I was just hoping, you know, well, don't let Lenny get up there with the game on the line, because you know he was going to come through. He was going to do something positive to help his team win.
Lenny Dykstra, the man they call Nails on the Mets ball club, is waiting. Now the pitch. And a high fly ball hit the right field. It is fairly deep. It's way back by the wall. He did it! It's a home run! A home run! The Mets win the ball game. Dykstra hits a home run. Then Dykstra hit a home run. This ball game is over.
He just has that great ability to maintain his concentration. I think a lot of people, they talk about going to another level. I don't think they go to another level. I think that what happens in LCS and World Series play, people tend to not be able to perform as well as they can. Lenny's always had the ability to play as well in tough games as he has throughout the season.
Then in Game 4, the great equalizer Mike Scott rose to the occasion, keeping the Mets' potent lineup off balance with another dominant outing. The attention in the Mets dugout centered around scuff marks on the baseball. But the former Met walked off with another victory, this time a complete game 3-hitter. Game 5 featured a classic pitching matchup between a pair of fireballers, Dwight Gooden and Nolan Ryan, but neither would stay around for the decision of this pitcher's duel that remained deadlocked in extra innings.
Bottom of the 12th inning. 1 out. 1-1 tie. Charlie Kerfeld and Gary Carter dueling here. Up the middle, base hit. Backman turns third. Atcher's throw, no play. Easy for Backman. Carter wins it with his 2nd hit of the series, and the Mets win the ball game in 12, 2-1.
And it was a big 3-2 advantage for the Mets. The series returned to the Astrodome for Game 6. Needing a victory to force a 7th game, the Astros bats responded early with a 3-run first. Bob Nepper pitched brilliantly through 8, holding the Mets at bay. As the game wore on, defense and pitching seemed the key for Houston, as the Mets garnered few base runners. The Astros held New York scoreless into the ninth as Nepper took the mound.
Mets have had only 2 hits. Game 7 would be tomorrow night. The pitchers would be Ron Darling and Mike Scott.
We were very fortunate that we were able to come back and win Game 6 because we had not done anything with Mike Scott the first 2 games that he had pitched. And had we not won that game, it would have been real difficult to beat him because he was the best pitcher in baseball that year.
Davey Johnson's club finally broke through in the ninth on a Mookie Wilson single over the glove of Bill Doran to score Lenny Dykstra. New York went on to tie the score at 3. Wally Backman batted in the 14th with a chance to break the tie.
Mets looking for the biggest hit of the year right here. And a line drive base hit. Going into right field. Strawberry will try to score. Here's the throw coming to the plate. He scores. The Mets have taken the lead.
But in the bottom of the 14th, the die-hard Astros fought back.
Billy Doran was leading off the inning, and if he got on base, I was going to be bunting. He got out, and I just went up there, and I said, you know, I got to get on base. I figured if I could, you know, get the first, I was going to steal second. And the first pitch he threw me a fastball inside, and I hit it foul. It was out of the ballpark, but it was foul.
Ball is hit hard to the left side, but it's foul.
I said, that's the only fastball I'm going to see, you know, because I'd hit it so hard. And then I just worked the count. It got to 2 or 3 and 2, and he threw me another fastball, and that's probably the farthest ball I've ever hit in my life, and it went out of the ballpark.
Now the pitch on the way. At a high fly, deep to left, down the line, and they go foul, waiting. It hits the screen. Tie ball game, home run.
I was just hoping it was being fair. I knew it had enough distance because when I hit it very well. And I was just hoping that it would stay fair. And when I saw it hit the top of the net, you know, I was happy.
Hatcher's heroics would for the moment stave off elimination. But the Mets came back to break the tie in the top of the 16th with 3 runs. In the bottom of the 16th, the Astros rallied yet again and trailed 7-6. The crowd reached a fevered pitch as the Astros fought for their lives with the tying and winning runs on base. Kevin Bass faced Jesse Orozco, 2 outs.
In that situation, I was starting to get a little bit tired. I was on my 3rd inning, and I threw a lot in the first 5 or 6 games. So we had a little meeting on the mound, and it was Keith Hernandez and Gary Carter, myself, Davey Johnson. We're all saying, Jesse, you don't have a good fastball anymore, so you're going to throw breaking balls. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, that's all I want to throw. We just went breaking ball after breaking ball on Kevin Bass, and that was my last resort. They were going to go with me, win or lose on that situation.
This is heart-stopping baseball, pulsating baseball. Nobody has sat down in the last 4 or 5 innings. Incredible. Now the stretch. The pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Struck him out. Mets win it. The Mets have won it. They're in the World Series.
That's the only game that I've ever played in that at the end of the game that I couldn't talk. I was so overwhelmed with emotion that we were going to the World Series and fatigue from the concentration for 16 innings, every ground ball, every at-bat meaning something. Knowing that tomorrow we have to face Mike Scott, that we have to do it today. And I've never felt that way again. The World Series games, Game 6 was exciting and tremendous, and Game 7, you know, wonderful, but that Game 6 and that playoff was by far the most emotional and most physically spent I've ever been.